but it's more specifically about one of the most amazing singers in contemporary music. Way, way, way back in the dented mists of time. We're talking about 1963, 64, 65. All over the world there were these white boy rhythm and blues bands. In England, down by the Surrey Delta, there was the Rolling Stones. Up in the Club A Go-Go in Newcastle, the Animals. And at the Maritime Club in Belfast, well, there was this band playing rhythm and blues. They didn't really have a name. They weren't called the somethings. They were just called them. 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 And around about this time, all these rhythm and blues bands, they were singing songs by people like John Lee Hooker and Muddy Waters, Slim Harpo, Jimmy Reed, Sonny Boy Willis, Chuck Berry, Bo Diddley. And this guy with them, the singer, he could sing like Ray Charles, he could sing like Solomon Burke. Funny little guy, fucking amazing singer, Van Morrison, Van Morrison, Van Morrison. And these them guys with Van Morrison as singer, they got a record contract. They became famous. They had a hit record with Baby Please Don't Go. They had a record with Here Comes the Night. They got on television. Girls would rip off their clothes and write on their cars in lipstick. And then along came the old Jazz Woodbine. It was looking very nice indeed. And they'd written this song, Van Morrison had written this song, and it was done later on by the Seeds. It was done later on by Jimmy, Noel and Mitch, the Jimi Hendrix Experience. And more lately, it was done by the Patti Smith Group with Lily Kay. Just like this. Thing was, these them guys, they were kind of like a punk rhythm and blues band. They didn't really like each other. Their first album was called The Angry Young Men, and they were angry. They were so angry they hated each other and they broke up. So they'd all been famous now, and Van Morrison had been famous, and suddenly it was all over. They were fucking broke. Van Morrison came over to Dublin. I lent him £5. He hasn't paid me back yet, but the music has many, 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 many fucking times. Van Morrison, he put this £5 towards his airfare to America. And there he met Bert Burns. Bert Burns was this kind of wheeler dealer in the music business. He produced the Drifters, he produced Solomon Burke, he produced them. He wrote Here Comes the Night. And Van Morrison signed to Bert Burns' record label, Bang Records. Van Morrison's first single for Bang Records. It was a hit. Van Morrison, Brown Eyed Girl. And down in the back streets of the music business, they said it had been called Black Skin Girl, but they changed the title so the honkies could buy it, and the honkies could buy it, and they did. Van Morrison, suddenly, solo star, Van Morrison, Van Morrison. Still, he'd written this fantastic record before, one of the greatest rock and roll records ever. It went like this, like this, like this. G, L, O, R, I, A, G, L, O, R, I, A, show him. G, L, O, R, I, A. Thing is, Bert Burns turned out to be somewhat of a dodgy geezer. He didn't pay Van Morrison. So, second time Van Morrison was fucked. He was broke. Would it be third time lucky? So Van Morrison signed to Warner Brothers Records. And they put him with some jazz musicians. These weren't rock and roll musicians. These weren't rhythm and blues musicians. These were jazz musicians. And meanwhile up in Woodstock, Van Morrison had met this amazing girl, Janet Planet, Janet Planet, Janet Planet. So Van went into the studio with these jazz cats, and the angels came down from heaven and they French kissed him. And something magic happened. And sex came out, and sensuality and poetry, and the muses kissed him. Van Morrison made one of the best records ever. One of the best records ever. Van Morrison, Astral Weeks. Astral Weeks. Great thing. Yeah. So he did Astral Weeks, but still, it's still one of the greatest songs ever. We'd like to do it one more time, the chorus for you. I would like, please, an exceedingly fucking brilliant round of applause for Aaron Lee Nelson.